Kriana Fantasy is a famous game that takes place in the Royal Kriana Academy. It's a mix of action battles and dating, where the story changes depending on the choices players make. Some players enjoy the exciting fights, while others focus on building relationships with the Academy's heroines. The game has a lot of freedom and many different endings. But no matter what path the player chooses, there is always one person who gets in the way: Alba, the Duke's son. Alba is strong, proud, selfish, and quick to anger. He loves chasing after women and is known as the biggest villain in the game, always standing against the hero. Far away in the mountain, though, things look very different. A young man steps out of a small hut with a hoe in his hand, ready to farm. This young man is actually Alba, the same Duke's son. But now, he lives alone in the quiet mountains, surrounded by birds, rivers, and wild animals. As Alba starts plowing the fields, a secret comes to light: he isn't really Alba. He's someone else who was reborn into Alba's body 3 years ago. Back then, at the Duke Erishia's mansion, the boy first woke up inside Alba's body after reincarnating. At first, he didn't understand where he was or who he saw in the mirror. Slowly, bits of memory returned, and then he remembered a certain game, a fantasy story about life at Kriana Academy, where one villain always opposed the main hero. That villain was none other than Alba. In one version of the game, Alba takes away a heroine from the main character, becoming his rival. In another, he falls into darkness and destroys the Academy itself. No matter which path the player chooses, Alba is always fated to be the final villain. But there's a problem: the boy who woke up in Alba's body doesn't remember the whole game. He never finished every route. Still, one thing he knows for sure is how much Alba stood out. Alba appeared again and again, always causing trouble and never giving up. Now, staring at Alba's reflection in the mirror, he feels shocked. Could it really be true? Has he been reborn as the villain himself? Yet, even more than the shock, one terrifying thought fills his mind: Alba is destined to die. Whether it's in a duel for a heroine or being struck down as punishment for his crimes, Alba's death is set in stone. No matter what, the villain always falls. But this new Alba refuses to accept such an ending. He won't sit still, waiting for death without knowing why he was reborn here. Even if changing destiny sounds impossible, he decides there's only one thing he can do: run away. One morning, the maids discover his room empty, his treasures gone. They rush to tell the Duke, who explodes with rage and shouts Alba's name. But Alba doesn't look back. He's certain that escaping is the only way to dodge his tragic fate. With the valuables he took, he plans to sell them, survive on his own, and live quietly in the countryside far away from the doomed path that once belonged to Alba. Back in the present, 3 years have passed since Alba ran away. The first thing he did was cut and dye his hair. Then he bought a small cottage in the mountains. Life here is simple and a little inconvenient compared to his past, but it's peaceful. On sunny days, he farms. On rainy days, he reads. Most importantly, he's still alive. One morning, a voice calls out from the house, apologizing for oversleeping. Alba suddenly remembers that in this world, the goddess of destiny isn't so kind as to let people escape their fates. He turns and greets the girl, calling her by name Celia. She giggles and cheerfully greets him back. Celia Margaret isn't just anyone. She's one of the heroines from the game, a possible love interest. She tells Alba that he has received a letter. Assuming it's about his debts, he jokingly tells her to just eat it. Celia puffs her cheeks and says, "I'm not a goat," which makes Alba laugh. He pats her head and apologizes, and that small gesture makes her glow with happiness. But deep down, Alba knows he shouldn't be getting close to her. Celia is one of the people who could trigger his death flag. In the game, she was a saintess chosen by the goddess, famous for her healing magic and her power to predict disasters. Getting involved with her could be dangerous. So why is the saintess here with him? The answer lies in the past, about half a year ago. Back then, Alba was still living alone and struggling to adjust to this new life. Luckily, since this world is the same as the game, he already knew about its crops and vegetables. That knowledge helped him start farming right away, something he's very thankful for. As for his family, Alba believes they still haven't started searching for him. That's a relief, since it's something he worries about a lot. But what surprises him more is how people in town act like he's already dead. Since his family never denied the rumors about him, Alba guesses they must have disliked him a lot. Still, he chooses not to think about it too much. Stretching after finishing his harvest, he suddenly hears a distant noise. Was that a scream? It really was. Not far away, a carriage is under attack. Inside is the saintess. One of her guards shouts for her to run, but before he can protect her, he's killed instantly. The rest of the guards fall just as quickly, leaving the saintess all alone. Trembling in fear as an assassin raises a dagger at her, she cries out that this shouldn't be happening. But her words don't stop them. The blade comes closer. Then, in an instant, something wrapped in lightning bursts between them. The assassin is thrown back by the force, shocking both the saintess and the remaining attackers. The lightning fades to reveal Alba. With a calm but firm voice, he says, "I don't know what's going on here, but you shouldn't make girls cry." When he turns toward the saintess, his heart skips. Her face looks familiar. Where had he seen her before? Then it hits him, she's one of the heroines from the game. His chest tightens with dread. She's connected to his death flags, the very thing he's been running from. Despite hiding deep in the mountains to avoid all the main characters, destiny has dragged one right to his doorstep. Alba feels bitter, thinking the goddess of destiny refuses to let him escape. As he tries to figure out what to do next, more assassins jump in from behind to attack. Terrified, the saintess screams, begging Alba to run. In that moment, Alba calls down lightning and easily knocks the assassins aside. With a sigh, he mutters that since he's already gotten involved, there's no helping it now. The saintess watches in shock as Alba wipes out the attackers in a single flash of blue light. The truth is, ever since he hid himself away in the mountains, Alba has been training non-stop. He worked hard to learn how to control this world's magic, and that's why he can defeat the assassins so quickly. But even as he stands victorious, a heavy guilt gnaws at him. These men were human too, and killing them makes him wonder if, one day, he might end up the same way. That thought hardens his resolve. No matter what kind of death fate has in store for him, he swears he will fight it with everything he has. After a short silence, Alba turns to the saintess and gently asks if she's all right. Of course, he already knows she isn't. Every single one of her guards has been killed. Lowering his head, he apologizes for not being able to save them. The saintess can't hold back anymore. She falls to her knees, tears streaming down her face, and admits she can't endure this life any longer. She explains that as the saintess, it's her duty to travel across the land on a holy journey. But no matter where she goes, assassins keep hunting her. From her trembling voice and broken expression, Alba realizes that today's attack has pushed her past her limit. She explains further, the saintess is the second highest figure in the goddess's church, just below the Pope himself. Because of that, she's always being targeted by those who want to steal her power or remove her as an obstacle in their path to ambition. Each time, innocent people die protecting her, and she can no longer stand to see more lives lost in her name. Alba thinks to himself that if this were just the game, he would see the saintess crying as nothing more than her tragic backstory. But this isn't a screen. This isn't pixels. Right now, in front of him, a real girl is weeping, and he can't ignore it. With tears rolling down her cheeks, the saintess whispers her true wish. She doesn't want to be afraid anymore. She just wants to live a normal, peaceful life. Alba pauses for a moment, then gently pats her head. He crouches down with a warm smile and asks softly if she'd like to come to his home. The saintess freezes, her eyes wide in shock. Alba quickly realizes how sudden his words must sound. But the truth is, he spoke before he even thought. To him, she isn't a game character, she's a person, hurting right in front of him. He tells her honestly that he doesn't fully understand her situation, but he can see how hard she's been carrying her burden, and he believes something important. Resting enough to smile is far better than working hard until all you can do is cry. So, if her destiny only brings her pain, then she should run from it. Reaching out his hand, Alba adds that if she has nowhere else to run, she can run with him. The saintess stares at him for a moment, then with trembling hands, takes his. Smiling through her tears, she says she wants to go with him. Alba knows deep down that being close to her could lead to the death he's been trying to avoid. But when he sees her smile, he decides it's worth it. Half a year later, he no longer sees tears on her face, only a bright, gentle smile that suits her so much better. After Celia's smile returned, she sent a letter to her father, the Pope, and today she finally received his reply. Curious, Alba asks what the letter says, but instead of answering, Celia suddenly throws her arms around him. In a soft voice, she asks if he'll stay by her side. Alba chuckles, leaving her a little confused, but then he reassures her. "Of course I will," he says warmly. "I'm the one who saved you, so I'll take responsibility until the very end." Overjoyed, Celia hugs him again, saying how happy that makes her. Still, Alba has his suspicions. He figures she probably wants him to take her to the church where her father lies. And since she ran away because of him, he doubts he'll escape punishment when the time comes. But then Celia surprises him. She shows him a picture and says they should go there together. Alba's eyes widen in shock. The picture isn't of a church at all, it's a pamphlet for Kriana Academy. To him, that place isn't a school, it's a death trap, overflowing with death flags. He swore he'd never go near it. But once again, the goddess of destiny seems determined to drag him right back onto the path he tried so hard to avoid. Celia explains that her father suggested she attend the academy if she truly wants a normal life. And if Alba comes with her, she says brightly, she'll have the best school life ever. Alba forces a smile in response, but deep inside, he wants nothing to do with that place. He's worked so hard to avoid Kriana Academy and the other main characters, hiding away in the mountains to live quietly. Yet, no matter how hard he resists, fate keeps pushing him forward. When they finally arrive at the gates of the academy, Celia excitedly tells him to look at how huge it is. Alba forces himself to agree, though his nerves are clear. Spotting his pale face, Celia asks if he's alright. He quickly covers it up with a weak excuse, saying it's just carriage sickness. When Celia notices how pale Alba looks, she sweetly offers him her lap to rest on. Alba, flustered, quickly thanks her but politely declines. He knows he's only here because of Celia, but he doesn't blame her. She has no idea about the death flags waiting for him at Kriana Academy, or that all of them are tied to the heroines of the game, including herself. So, why did he agree to come here at all? To answer that, we have to go back to the moment Celia received letters from her father. Among them, there was one with Alba's name on it. The sender was none other than Celia's father, the Pope, the leader of the goddess church, the strongest religion in the land. His influence is so great that even the king of Kriana stands as his equal. Because Celia had been staying with Alba under unusual circumstances, he feared the letter would be filled with anger, maybe even threats. But when he opened it and read the first lines, he was shocked. Instead of threats, the letter overflowed with apologies and gratitude. In the letter, Celia's father explained that she became the saintess not because she is his daughter, but because she was chosen by the goddess herself, blessed with miraculous powers from birth. From the moment she opened her eyes to the world, her fate was sealed. She gave her whole life to serving the goddess's teachings. She traveled to towns and villages, no matter how far or dangerous the road, always working to guide lost souls with the goddess's light. Not once did she complain. When asked, she would only smile and say it was her duty as the saintess. Reading those words, her father confessed how grateful and proud he felt of his daughter, grateful that even with such a heavy burden, she could still smile. But as the Pope continued writing, he admitted something painful. He now realizes how blind he has been. For years, he saw only Celia's bright smile, never noticing that behind it, she was quietly hurting. Deep down, his daughter was also one of the lost sheep, crying inside, wishing for someone to save her. To him, Alba didn't just save her life, he saved her heart. For that, the Pope feels nothing but the deepest gratitude. Still, even though Celia is the saintess, and he is the head of the church, he is also her father. And as a father, he wants to grant his daughters one wish, to live a normal life. With a humble tone, he adds that Alba is free to laugh at this old sinner. Reading this, Alba shakes his head firmly. I won't laugh, he says. Celia tilts her head in confusion, but Alba simply explains, your father is a wonderful man. Hearing that, she smiles brightly and agrees. But as Alba keeps reading, his expression changes. The Pope writes that he has a request, something that makes Alba groan. Celia notices his reaction and asks what's wrong, but Alba doesn't answer. He just keeps reading. The Pope's request is clear. He asks Alba to attend Kriana Academy with Celia. He explains that the academy is filled with gifted students who follow the goddess and that no other place can provide such an education. He believes that if Celia studies there, she'll finally have the chance to live the life she dreams of. Finally, the Pope adds one more reason, knowing that Alba, the one who defeated the assassins all on his own, will be by her side, gives him peace of mind. With a sigh, Alba tells Celia, your father wants me to go with you to Kriana Academy. Alba is sure that deep down, Celia also wants to stay with him. But when she notices the worry on his face, she smiles gently and says it's okay, she doesn't mind going to the academy by herself. Hearing this, Alba realizes what her father could not. That smile is a mask, hiding her real feelings. So he warns her. The academy might look grand, but it's full of dangers. There are many people there, and not all of them are good. Some are bullies, eager to push others around. Celia tilts her head, confused, but Alba keeps going. He explains that since the academy is run by the kingdom, her life won't be in danger like it was during her pilgrimages. Still, there will be plenty of shady men who try to win over a pretty girl like her. Celia looks even more puzzled, so Alba raises his voice and asks if she still wants to go. This time, she smiles kindly and says she's sure she'll make many friends there. Alba isn't done, though. He warns her that her days will be swallowed up by boring studies. But Celia laughs and says she's actually excited after all. She's only ever studied the Bible before. Alba frowns again, pointing out that living in a new place could be exhausting. But Celia only answers with bright eyes that she's looking forward to it. At that, both of them smile. After a quiet pause, Alba finally says the words, "They'll go together." Celia's face lights up, and she happily throws her arms around him. Alba knows he should keep his distance from the academy, and from this girl tied to his death flags. But in his heart, his choice is already made. He'll fight against fate with everything he has. Because to him, Celia's smile is worth protecting far more than seeing her drown in tears. Celia smiles and says how thankful she is for the goddess's guidance. Alba feels his eyebrow twitch. That same goddess, in his eyes, is only guiding him straight to his death. The more he thinks about it, the more he wonders, was it even the goddess who dragged him into this world in the first place? As these thoughts swirl, his eyes catch another line in the letter. He groans loudly. Celia tilts her head and asks if he's changed his mind about going to the academy. Alba forces an awkward smile and quickly shakes his head. No. I'm really looking forward to it, he lies. The truth is, the Pope's final request had been written very clearly. Do not even dare make my daughter cry. Alba could only sigh. With that single line, his fate was sealed. He had no choice but to follow Celia to the academy. When they finally step out of the carriage, both of them stop in awe. The academy towers over them, far bigger and grander than Alba had ever imagined from the game screen. On the way to the main building, they pass a row of statues. Celia points them out proudly, explaining that they are statues of the goddess, the great hero, and the holy beast that protects the maiden. She beams at him, asking if he doesn't think they're wonderful. Alba forces a nod, but deep inside he feels uneasy. Something about those statues tugs at his memory. Each one seems tied to an event from the game, though he can't quite remember which. The thought makes him nervous. Trying to push it aside, he reminds Celia to call him Al while they're here. She gasps, apologizes for forgetting, and quickly corrects herself. He doesn't want anyone connecting him to his real identity. It's safer this way. Thanks to her father, he now has the cover story of Al, the Holy Knight apprentice. But as they walk, Celia is shocked when he admits that he ran away from his noble family and that they probably believe he's dead. She looks at him with wide eyes, then suddenly grins with confidence. Don't worry, she assures him sweetly. If your family ever causes trouble, father will crush them under his thumb. Hearing Celia's confident words, Alba can't help but think her father is terrifyingly powerful. Still, even with the Pope's influence, Alba knows he must stay far away from anyone tied to his death flags. The problem is, his memory of the game is blurry, and that frustration gnaws at him. Just then, loud voices echo nearby. A group of people notice Celia, and in an instant, they recognize her. The saintess, it's the saintess. The news spreads like wildfire, and a huge crowd quickly forms, pressing closer and closer. Alba is shoved aside, powerless to stop it. His stomach sinks. Of course, this is what I should have worried about from the start. Celia's not just some girl, she's a superstar in this world. The mob chants her title again and again. Faces, hands, and questions press in from every side. Celia's chest tightens as panic takes over. She shuts her eyes, wishing desperately for the normal life she's always dreamed of. Then boom, a streak of lightning flashes across the crowd. In a blink, Alba is there, carrying Celia safely away from the chaos. His voice cuts through the gasps. She is here not as the saintess, but as a student of Kriana Academy. Show some respect and don't crowd her thoughtlessly. Even if his rank as a Holy Knight apprentice is only a cover, Alba swears to himself that he will protect Celia no matter what. Hearing this, Celia's fear melts into joy. She beams at him, her heart warmed by his words. The crowd, however, is left stunned. Murmurs ripple through them. Who was that boy? How could he move so fast? Many whisper that he must be the son of a powerful noble. But among the onlookers, a girl doesn't join the chatter. Instead, her eyes widen not because of Alba's speed, but because she recognizes him. Once inside the academy, Celia tugs his sleeve and suggests they hurry to pick up their uniforms. Alba doesn't move. He stands frozen, his body stiff, his hands trembling. The grand halls of Kriana Academy loom above him. This is the stage of the game, the place where Alba's end is written. And now, no matter how hard he tried to avoid it, he has finally stepped right into the jaws of his fate. Noticing Alba's frozen steps, Celia quickly reaches out and takes his hand. Her touch is warm, steady, and comforting. She smiles softly and says, "It's okay. Don't be afraid. I'm here with you." Alba can't help but smile back, though inside he feels a little pathetic. I'm supposed to be the one protecting her, And yet, she's the one calming me down. But that's just like her, the saintess, always shining. With a sigh of relief, he thanks her. Celia giggles, her shoulders shaking. To be honest, I'm nervous too. Together, they step inside the academy's grand main hall. The first thing they notice is a huge stained glass window stretching almost to the ceiling. It shows the goddess and the hero. Celia tilts her head, wondering if the picture is meant to show the hero protecting the goddess. Alba, however, is just stunned by how big and dazzling the window looks. Celia then kneels down and quietly begins to pray. Alba watches her, thinking how she never fails to pray for everyone, no matter where she is. But this time, when she prays aloud, he nearly falls over. Please, goddess, she whispers sweetly, let me be in the same class as Alba. That's not for the world, that's just for herself, Alba thinks, staring in disbelief. Later, they head to the uniform distribution area, where an old teacher greets them. After checking the papers, he hands them their uniforms. You two will be in the unicorn class, he says with a smile. Celia's eyes sparkle. The same class? That's wonderful, she exclaims. Alba feels a wave of relief. Two being together will make things a little easier. The old teacher chuckles kindly. Enjoy your school life to the fullest, young ones. Celia bows and thanks him politely, while Alba eyes the man suspiciously. Could he be tied to an event from the game? He decides not to dwell on it for now. Walking out of the building, Celia's joy bubbles over. She gushes about how she can't wait to try on the academy uniform. Then, she slips up and says, Alba. Quickly, Alba reminds her, inside the academy, call me Al. She blinks, then quickly apologizes again. Oh, sorry, Al, Alba sighs, but deep down, he's glad she's still smiling. Suddenly someone steps in front of them and calls out Alba's real name, making both of them jump. It's the same girl from before, and she asks, looking at his different hair color, if he really is Alba. When Alba sees her bright red hair, he recognizes her at once. She is unforgettable to the Alba who remembers the game. Her name is Elena, one of the heroines and a romance target. More important, she was his childhood friend and his former fiancé, a person tightly linked to the death flags surrounding him. Elena demands to know why he is here with the saintess. Seeing Alba's worried face, Celia hurriedly asks Elena if she might be mistaking him for someone else. She explains quickly that this boy is her holy knight apprentice, called Al, who also helps her as an attendant. Elena scoffs and finds it ridiculous, teasing that they just cut off Alba to make Al. Realizing their cover looks weak, Celia panics and blurts out in a shaky voice that he is Al, definitely not Alba. Alba stands there feeling awkward, caught in an uncomfortable moment because he really did run away from home. Elena then says she heard Alba ran away, which shocks him inside. But Celia keeps frantically insisting that Elena is wrong and that the Alba who once saved her life is now Al. As he tries to stop her from talking, Elena presses on and says she knows Alba met the saintess after running away. Now she even openly wonders if he's the one who spread the rumor that Alba is dead. Alba tries to play dumb and says he has no idea what she's talking about, hoping to calm things down. Instead, Elena suddenly draws her sword in a sharp motion and swings it at him. Alba quickly jumps back and easily avoids the blade. She points the sword at him and warns coldly that if he keeps pretending not to know, she will cut him down. Alba is stunned by how serious her strike was. That wasn't a warning swing, it was real. Celia calls out his name in panic, but he quickly tells her to stay back where it's safe. The noise of the clash draws a crowd. Students and onlookers begin whispering when they recognize the red-haired girl. She's Elena of the noble Persia family. People wonder why someone like her is fighting the man who attends the saintess. Elena pays no attention to the spectators. With a sharp glare, she demands again, "Are you not Alba Iretia?" Her voice is filled with pressure. Alba realizes there's no smooth lie that will get him out of this. But he already chose to fight against his fate, so there's no use backing down now. After a moment of silence, he repeats calmly that his name is Al. Elena smiles, but it's not a friendly one. She tells him to carve her next words into his body. Then she swings her sword and declares that this is the punishment for tricking the Persia family. Alba leaps out of the way. As he dodges, he remembers something important. Elena is the strongest swordswoman in the entire game. That alone makes this situation dangerous. But what shocks him even more is the look on her face. She isn't angry, she looks sad. Elena charges at him again, but before her blade can touch him, Alba's body disappears in a flash. Gasps burst from the crowd. Even Elena freezes for a split second. The next moment, he's behind her, speaking calmly, telling her to stop and settle down. She spins around in surprise and swings her sword backward on instinct. Before the blade can move far, Alba casually reaches out and catches it with just one finger. Everyone there, Elena, Celia, and the watching crowd stares with wide eyes. The only reason he can do this is because of the magic he trained in after running away from home. During that time, he collected books about magic. They explained that fire, water, and wind are elemental powers of nature, and that a person must connect with the element that matches them best. Thinking back, Alba remembers how, when playing the game, he used to check enemy weaknesses based on their attributes before every fight. Because of that habit, he paid close attention to the magic books he found. Following their instructions, he focused his mind and tried to match himself with the world around him. As he practiced, he began to feel a strange, faint sensation, something beyond normal sight, sound, or touch. By sticking with this training, he finally discovered his natural element, lightning. From then on, he sharpened that strange sensation every day. He kept training for years, pushing himself until he could control magic at will. He practiced until his power became so strong that he could turn his whole body into lightning and move across great distances in just a flash. Now that he can do it for real, he can't help but think this kind of ability suits the strongest villain perfectly. Back in the present, Alba asks Elena to at least listen to what he has to say. But she refuses sharply, saying she won't put up with any more of his ridiculous lies. He apologizes and tells her honestly that he knows she hates the old Alba, but right now, he is just Al. Hearing those words, Elena starts trembling, her feelings clearly shaken. She opens her mouth to answer, but before she can speak, Alba disappears again in an instant. The crowd gasps. Some shout in surprise. But then, even more shock spreads when they realize the saintess has vanished too. With both of them gone from sight, Elena understands they escaped. Tears gather in her eyes and begin to fall. A student nearby asks if she's okay, but she quickly wipes her face and says she's fine, that it's only dust in her eyes. Meanwhile, Alba reappears in a faraway city with Celia in his arms. He figures this distance should be safe enough. Celia, still surprised from being whisked away so quickly, lets out a small gasp. Alba apologizes for startling her so suddenly. When Alba notices Celia puffing her cheeks at him, he asks gently if she's mad. She quickly says she isn't. Then she looks up at him and asks who that pretty girl named Elena was. Before he can even open his mouth to answer, Celia keeps going, saying that even though Elena looks older than her, has a bigger chest, and is very pretty, she's totally not jealous at all. Alba can't help it, he bursts into laughter. Celia stares at him and demands to know what's so funny. With a warm smile, he tells her she's a terrible liar, which only makes her pout harder. Pushing the topic aside, Alba asks if they should head to the house her father arranged for them. But Celia shakes her head, which confuses him. She clears her throat and says she'll only go there if he carries her the whole way. Alba pauses for a moment, then sighs and agrees. After everything that's happened today, he's already sure that life at Kriana Academy is going to be nothing but trouble from day one. Later, when they arrive at the house prepared for them, both of them freeze in place with wide eyes. The place is huge. As Alba looks around in disbelief, Celia suddenly tugs his sleeve and tells him to look over there. She points to a garden patch beside the house and excitedly explains that they can grow vegetables there, just like they did in the mountains. Alba is honestly amazed. This house is in the center of the royal capital, a place where people from all around the world gather, and it even has a garden. On top of that, it's 2 stories tall. A property like this must cost a fortune. But then again, this is exactly the kind of thing Celia's father could pull off. They step inside and find the house fully furnished and neatly arranged. They even each get their own bedroom on the 2nd floor. But there's still one more problem to handle. Alba turns to Celia and asks her about it. She tells him she didn't receive any money. Alba blinks and says he assumed her father would give them some living expenses along with the house, but apparently that wasn't included. Celia explains that her father told her if she truly wants to live a normal life, she has to earn her own money. Alba actually feels impressed for a moment. It seems her father isn't just spoiling her, he's trying to help her stand on her own 2 feet. But then Celia adds that her father also said he would give her money if things ever got too hard. Alba instantly takes back his earlier respect and decides the man is still way too soft. Since they barely have any money, Alba says he'll start working right away. But Celia quickly tells him he doesn't have to get a job because she will be the one earning money for both of them. That leaves him confused, so she explains further. Her father has already arranged work for her at the church. As the saintess, Celia has been blessed by the goddess with special powers. One of those blessings is the gift of prophecy. She can hear divine warnings that help prevent disasters. Another is healing magic so powerful, it can cure any wound or sickness. Because of that, many troubled and ill believers visit her in hopes of being helped. From the donations they give, Celia receives a share. She accepted this role from a pure desire to help people. But Alba knows that the real reason she was sent on harsh pilgrimages since childhood wasn't just kindness or duty. He suspects someone greedy in the church arranged it, because her travels bring in massive donations. To those people, the saintess isn't just a holy figure, she's a walking treasure chest. As Alba frowns at the thought, Celia notices and asks what's wrong. Her voice snaps him out of it, and he quickly says it's nothing. Then he tells her that he's going to work too, so she doesn't have to worry about money alone. But Celia tilts her head and asks why he insists on working when she already said she'd earn for both of them. Alba tells her that if he lets a girl handle all the work while he sits around doing nothing, it would crush his pride as a man. But Celia argues back, saying that since they live together, it shouldn't matter who earns the money. In response, he bluntly tells her to save that kind of devotion for her future husband instead. The moment he says that, Celia suddenly starts smacking him with her fists. Alba, confused, asks why she's hitting him, but when he looks closely, he notices her eyes are full of tears. Without another word, Celia storms out of the room, saying she doesn't care anymore and that he can do whatever he wants. When he asks where she's going, she snaps that she'll be eating dinner alone. Later that night, Alba lies on his bed, staring at the ceiling. He tells himself he didn't say anything wrong. After all, right now, he's just her companion. And besides, she already has someone who fits her better, the real protagonist of Kriana fantasy, Eurus. Eurus is not only handsome, but also a master of both magic and the sword. He's a true saint, the total opposite of a villain like Alba. And most importantly, every heroine in the game falls in love with Eurus sooner or later. Once that happens, Alba believes he'll have no reason to stay with Celia anymore. It has now been 3 months since they first met. On their very first day, when he brought her to his little mountain cabin, she looked around with wide eyes and asked if she was really allowed to stay there. Alba told her she could stay as long as she wanted and reminded her that here she wasn't a saintess, just a normal girl. A few days after that, she began helping him in the fields, harvesting vegetables at his side. She also started learning to cook with him and got used to using the goman bath he built. At night, the two of them would walk beneath the star-filled sky of the mountains. For the first time in his life, Alba felt truly at peace with Celia there beside him. Right now, Alba knows that if he said he wouldn't miss Celia when she leaves, it would be a lie. But if she moves forward toward the future that's meant for her, then he'll accept it. He tells himself that if things go that way, he might even avoid one of his death flags. A little while later, Celia quietly knocks on his door and steps inside to apologize for earlier, but she stops when she sees him already asleep. She looks at him gently and whispers that it's thanks to him she was able to come this far. Then she pulls a sheet over him and softly thanks him before leaving the room. The next morning, sunlight pours through the window and birds chirp outside. Alba slowly wakes up and blinks at the bright light. Realizing it's already morning, he wonders when he ended up falling asleep. Then he spots something on the table. Celia has left food for him along with a note apologizing for yesterday and saying she went to the church to do her duties. After reading it, he quietly thanks her, freshens up, and starts eating the burger. It tastes great, and he feels relieved that familiar food exists in this world, probably because it's based on a game. Since Celia goes to the church to earn money, Alba decides he'll find a job too. Later, he arrives at the Adventurers Guild. The guild works as a middleman, accepting and assigning requests from all over the kingdom. They offer all kinds of jobs, everything from delivering goods to dangerous missions like hunting magical beasts. Because of that, there's a huge variety of requests posted. The people who take on the risky missions are mostly tough types looking for money or fame, and they're known as adventurers. In the original Kriana fantasy game, becoming an adventurer wasn't required to complete the story, but this world is no longer just a game to him. But since this world is real to Alba now, he doesn't see any reason not to try adventuring, especially because it's the fastest way to make money. After checking the quest board, he decides to take on a quest to defeat a giant magic beast. The reward is 5 million curia, which is the currency of this world. Even though he has never fought a magic beast before, he believes in the strength he's built over the past 3 years. Just then, some guards speak up and call out to him. They tell him that the board he's looking at is for 5-star quests, and there's no way a newcomer like him already has a 5-star rank. Hearing this, Alba remembers that new adventurers can only accept simple 1-star quests. An adventurer's rank goes up based on how many jobs they complete and how much they help the guild. So, to get the big rewards, he has to raise his rank first. He heads to the reception area, where a receptionist politely explains that this is the 1-star counter. Alba asks about quests and what kind would suit him best. After checking the 1-star board, she hands him an herb gathering request. With that, Alba leaves the guild. Even though the herb quest doesn't pay much, he knows he has to start somewhere. He'll just have to take small steps and work his way up. Since taking a carriage to the western forest costs too much money, he decides to run there instead. He takes a stance and then launches forward like a bolt of lightning, moving so fast that people only see a flash of light in his place. Meanwhile, somewhere else in town, 2 students from Kriana Academy are walking together. The girl complains that living in the dorms is such a pain. The boy walking beside the girl tells her that living in the royal capital is expensive, so staying in the dorms can't be helped. Still, he thinks they're lucky they even get to attend Kriana Academy as commoners. The girl agrees with him. Just then, a blur of motion rushes past them so fast the girl wonders if it was only a gust of wind. But the boy catches a glimpse of what it really was, and his eyes widen in surprise. That boy is none other than Eurus, the true protagonist of the Kriana fantasy game. When the girl asks what's wrong, he simply says it's nothing and calls her Alice. Then he changes the subject and asks if she isn't buying too much. Alice huffs and says that a girl needs all kinds of things. Alba, who is sprinting down the street, suddenly stops. He realizes Eurus isn't just someone who noticed him. He's the Eurus, the main character, and Alba recognizes him right away. Later, in the mountains near Kriana Academy, Alba finishes gathering every herb needed for the quest. With the task done, he prepares to head back. Even though he's high up on the cliffs, he leaps between ledges with ease. After living in the mountains for 3 years, rough terrain doesn't bother him at all. When he returns to the Adventurers Guild, the receptionist is stunned. Only 3 hours have passed since he accepted the quest, yet he's already back with everything completed. She asks how he finished so quickly when it normally takes 6 hours just to make the round trip. Alba answers calmly that he simply ran there at high speed. She is amazed, but since the quest is complete, she doesn't question him further and hands him the reward. By finishing the quest, Alba earns 10,000 curia in just 3 hours, which is the payment for a 1-star job. He knows that's not nearly enough, so if he wants to make real money, he'll have to raise his rank quickly. For now, he lets that thought rest and wonders how Celia is doing. At the same time, over at the church, Celia is busy carrying out her role as the saintess. She prays gently for the many followers who have come to see her. The priests are pleased with her presence, and her followers are delighted to be near her. Because so many people visited and donated, Celia ends up earning more than 10 times what Alba made in the same amount of time. Later in the royal capital, Alba eats ramen and is surprised that this world even has a ramen shop. But he can't relax too much, because this city is also home to the Eretia Duchy, his family's house. Since 3 years have passed, his older brother has likely taken the title and become the new head by now. Even though they're brothers, Alba ran away right after he reincarnated, so they're basically strangers. And since the family never denied the rumors of his death, he suspects they don't care much about him. Still, what matters most right now is being careful. Unlike the quiet mountains, the capital is full of people who might recognize him. Running into someone like Elena again is something he must avoid at all costs. As he leaves the ramen shop, he reminds himself not to drop his guard. Anything could spark a death flag. Just then, he hears shouting. People are warning others to move out of the way. A horse has broken loose and is running wild through the street. A girl falls to her knees while trying to escape, and the horse charges directly at her. She can only scream in fear as the massive animal speeds toward her. Just as the horse is about to trample the girl, a streak of lightning blasts through the crowd and hits the beast. Dust shoots into the air, and the girl freezes in shock, eyes wide after seeing that bright blue flash. When the dust starts to clear, a voice speaks to her. "Are you all right?" As the view becomes clear, everyone sees Alba standing on top of the fallen horse. He asks the girl again if she's okay, and she quickly nods and says she's fine. Alba hops down from the horse and, even though he only knocked it out, he quietly apologizes to the poor animal. The girl thanks him, but then stares at his face and says she thinks she's seen him somewhere before. Alba panics inside. If she's a noble, it wouldn't be strange for her to recognize the second son of the Duke of Eretia. Before he can say anything, the crowd breaks into loud cheering, amazed that he took down a wild horse so easily. People shout about how cool and strong he is. Alba quickly pulls up his hood to cover his face. He only jumped in because he couldn't ignore her scream, but if he keeps drawing attention to himself like this, someone will eventually realize he's Alba. While he's thinking that, a squad of knights arrives. Their leader steps forward and asks what happened here. The girl Alba saved speaks up right away and calls the man Duke Roy, which makes Alba's heart skip a beat. Roy also looks at her closely and asks if she's from the Lupica barony. She confirms and introduces herself as Mina, reminding him that they met at his succession ceremony. She then explains that the hooded man saved her from the runaway horse. Hearing things like Duke and succession ceremony, Alba starts to wonder if Roy might actually be his brother. Roy then thanks Alba, saying he's grateful both as the one responsible for public safety and as a friend of the Lupica family. Alba stays silent. He can't let Roy realize who he really is. When he doesn't answer, Roy asks if Alba is refusing his thanks or just being rude. Alba quickly denies it and tries to excuse himself so he can leave. But then to his horror, Roy suddenly calls out the name Alba. Alba freezes in place, shocked. Roy explains that Alba's voice reminded him of his foolish younger brother, which is why he spoke the name out loud. Growing suspicious, Roy tells him to show his face. With a shaky voice, Alba says his face isn't worthy of being seen by a duke. But Roy answers coldly that it isn't Alba's decision to make and orders him to look up. The air grows tense. If Alba shows his face now, he has no idea what kind of fate he'll face. Right at that critical moment, someone calls out to him using the name Al, saying they finally found him. The way everyone around reacts makes it clear that this newcomer is someone important and well-known. Roy turns and immediately recognizes her as Elena Persia. Elena politely greets Roy with a calm, "Good day." But for Alba, nothing about this is good. His supposed brother is standing behind him, and his former fiancée is standing in front of him, two people who both know the real Alba. It feels like having a tiger in front and a wolf behind. Alba wonders desperately what he's supposed to do now. Roy asks Elena if she knows this man. Elena answers smoothly that he is her friend, a squire in training named Al. She adds that he was late for their meeting, so she came to look for him. Then she casually remarks that helping someone and showing up late is exactly the kind of thing a knight in training would do. Alba is completely confused. He has no idea why Elena is covering for him. Roy, still unsure, asks if that means this man truly isn't Alba. Elena puts on an innocent face and says there's no way she could mistake Alba for someone else. After all, she used to be his fiancée. And on top of that, she reminds everyone that Alba is supposed to be dead. For a moment, Roy and Elena lock eyes sharply, as if silently judging each other's words. Then Roy nods and agrees. He says that his foolish younger brother, who once shamed the family name, is gone. Roy apologizes to Al, and Alba replies that it's fine. With that settled, Roy says he'll escort Mina back to her home. She agrees and thanks him. Before leaving, she also turns to Alba and thanks him for saving her, and he accepts it politely. After that, Roy, Mina, and the knights depart, leaving only Alba and Elena behind. Since Alba wants nothing more to do with her, he quickly tries to escape. He thanks her, saying that thanks to her help, he got out of the situation safely, then turns and starts walking away, saying goodbye, even though he's still not sure why she helped him. The important thing is that his identity wasn't exposed, so he figures he should leave as fast as possible. But before he can take more than a few steps, he's stopped again, this time by a sword pointed at his side. Elena orders him to stop because they need to talk, and she calls him by his real name, Alba. He looks away nervously and asks what she means, but she warns him that if he keeps pretending not to know, she'll tell the Duke everything. Realizing she's figured it out after all, he gives up and says he'll explain everything. He feels miserable inside. He hasn't even started school yet, and he's already drowning in trouble. Alba silently curses the goddess of fate, convinced she never passes up a chance to make his life difficult. The next day, the entrance ceremony at Kriana Academy begins. The headmaster steps forward and congratulates all the new students. He tells them to grow their ambition and sharpen their wisdom, reminding them that they are the ones who will carry the future. To Alba's surprise, the headmaster is the same old man who gave them their uniforms before. In an overly loud voice, the man declares that his own destiny may shine brightly thanks to the blessing of the goddess of fate, then suddenly shouts, "Yay!" and "Hooray!" with full excitement. Celia whispers that the headmaster sure is lively, while Alba remembers him from the game as the support character who gave the player helpful hints. After the ceremony ends, both Celia and Alba are relieved. They've safely enrolled in Kriana Academy without running into serious trouble, at least for now. But Alba knows this peaceful moment won't last. Inside this academy, his real death flags are waiting to activate. There are 5 heroines connected to those dangers. He's already tangled up with 2 of them, Celia and Elena. If any more get involved, his risk of dying will only skyrocket. One of the 5 is the princess, a secret character who doesn't show up at the academy, so she's not a worry. The real danger comes from the other 2, Alice, the protagonist's childhood friend, and Lily, the disciple of the sage. Both of them are his classmates, so he'll have to be extremely careful. But even worse than the 5 heroines is the one person Alba must avoid no matter what: the protagonist himself, Eurus, who is standing only a few steps away. The danger isn't just that Eurus is the main character, it's that almost every villain in the game ends up being killed by him. While Alba secretly watches Eurus from the side, their eyes suddenly meet. Alba instantly looks away, and Eurus is left puzzled for a moment. When Celia asks Alba if something is wrong, and Alice asks Eurus the same thing, both of them brush it off and say it's nothing. Alba makes a firm promise to himself: no matter what happens, he will never get involved with Eurus. His plan is to live quietly at the academy and avoid attention at all costs. Later, in the unicorn class where both he and Celia are assigned, they end up surrounded by curious classmates. Alba realizes right away that staying unnoticed is impossible when you're sitting next to the saintess. Everyone keeps whispering and staring at her. But what worries him more is how nervous Celia looks. If this continues, living a normal school life will be hard for her. As he wonders how to help, Celia suddenly stands up. She introduces herself as Celia Margaret, a first year in the unicorn class. She clearly tells everyone that she's here not as the saintess, but as their classmate, and says they can just call her Celia. Right away, the room bursts into buzzing chatter. Her smile and honesty win everyone over, and the students quickly start calling her Celia instead of saintess. Alba feels a wave of relief, one problem solved. But a new issue appears fast. A girl points at him and asks who he is. Other students stare at his face and start whispering about rumors they once heard. Alba realizes, far too late, that many nobles attend this academy. Even with his new hair color and different behavior, there's still a real chance someone might figure out he's actually Alba Iretia. Just then, Celia steps forward and speaks up before anyone else can say more. She introduces Alba as her friend, a holy knight apprentice named Al. Alba can hardly believe it. To him, becoming friends with someone who seems suspicious shouldn't be that easy. But the other students accept it right away and greet him kindly. Alba is stunned. He realizes this must be the powerful effect of the saintess's influence. Celia gives him a quick wink, and Alba silently thanks her in his heart. A moment later, another student walks up to greet him. It's Elena. Alba asks in surprise if she's also part of the unicorn class, and she confirms it, saying they're classmates now. Other students whisper about her beauty and sword skills as she stands gracefully nearby. Celia leans closer and quietly asks Alba if this is the same girl from the other day. He nods and says that he already told her the truth, that he's actually Alba, not Al, since she used to be his fiancée. Elena politely apologizes for the trouble she caused before and respectfully addresses Celia as Your Holiness. But Celia goes stiff, shocked to learn that Alba was once engaged to Elena. After the mix-up with Roy, Alba had confessed to Elena that he really was Alba in disguise. Elena, surprised to meet him again after so long, asked if he ran away from home 3 years ago because he hated life in the Duke's house. Alba admitted it, saying he wanted to abandon his old self and live as someone new. He doesn't mention anything about being reincarnated, since she wouldn't believe him and bringing it up could trigger a death flag. Elena then explains that 3 years ago, the Iretia family contacted her family to call off their engagement. Back then, rumors spread that Alba had disappeared, been killed, or even thrown away by the Duke's family. Alba gives an awkward laugh and jokes that people must have thought very poorly of him. Elena admits that her family was actually happy when the engagement ended. They were glad to be free of a delinquent. Hearing that, Alba feels oddly relieved and asks if she also hated him. She blushes slightly and says yes, she used to think he was a terrible, woman-chasing scoundrel and even considered cutting him down herself. Alba freezes in fear at how serious she sounds. But then, after a short silence, Elena says quietly that when she thought he'd died, she cried. A memory from their childhood flashes through her mind. Once, when she was little, she had been crying. Young Alba asked her why. She told him her father had said her sword skills and personality were too boyish, and that she should behave more like a proper woman. The young Alba told her it didn't matter if she acted like a man or a woman, what mattered was Elena herself. That one moment had made her happy back then. Remembering it now, she admits she didn't dislike the Alba from their younger days. This surprises Alba. Nothing like that was ever mentioned in the game, and it makes him wonder if the original Alba might not have been as awful as everyone said. Elena goes on, saying that now he protects the saintess and even risked his life to save that girl from the runaway horse. To her, this proves he really has changed, like he's been reborn. Alba laughs awkwardly, thinking to himself that it's kind of true, since the person inside really is different now. Elena murmurs softly that he's become like how he used to be. Alba doesn't hear her clearly and asks what she said, but she brushes it off. She then asks what he plans to do about the nobles at the academy who hate him. Alba answers that he'll just do his best not to get exposed. After a quiet moment, Elena says she'll help him, which surprises Alba. He thanks her warmly, and she blushes a little before quickly adding that he has to help her too. She explains that ever since their engagement ended, she's been flooded with suitors. If any of them bother her at the academy, he has to chase them away. Alba is shocked this goes completely against his plan to stay unnoticed. Back in the present, Alba reminds Elena of her promise, and she tells him not to forget his part either. Celia overhears their conversation and learns that Alba and Elena were once engaged. Her mind fills with 1,000 thoughts. She steps closer and speaks to Elena, who once again addresses her as Your Holiness. Celia firmly reminds her that they're classmates now and insists on being called Celia. Elena accepts this and says Celia should call her by her name too. Then she gently pats Celia on the head, surprising her. Celia returns the greeting, and the two instantly warm up to each other. Celia thinks Elena is beautiful, and Elena finds Celia adorable. Celia then turns to Alba and demands to know why he never told her about his connection with Elena. He explains that he didn't hide it, he just never got a chance to bring it up. Celia refuses to accept that excuse and pouts, which Elena finds very cute. Right then, a voice comments that Alba seems to have a flower in each hand, the saintess on one side and Elena on the other. The speaker tells Alba not to get full of himself, calling him just a lowly holy knight apprentice. Alba asks who he is, and the man mocks him as nothing but a clueless country boy. Elena steps in and identifies him as Walbi, the eldest son of Count Walgut and one of the suitors she wants Alba to deal with. Walbi gives Elena a smile and compliments her beauty, but she responds irritably, saying he hasn't changed at all. Walbi declares that even though his family is only of Count rank, they are still high nobles, and he claims that marrying Elena would be a perfect match for House Persia. Elena sharply tells him not to bring marriage proposals into the academy. The students nearby gasp and whisper in surprise, but Walbi refuses to back down. He says that since they are classmates now, he can't ignore the chance. He praises Elena as the flower of the Persia family, blessed with royal blood, and insists she is far more valuable than she thinks. With overblown confidence, he asks her to marry him for the good of both their houses. Before Elena can respond, Alba cuts in and asks what nonsense Walbi is spewing. He speaks partly because of her earlier request, but also because guys like Walbi annoy him. Alba boldly declares that Walbi isn't worthy of Elena since he doesn't understand her true value. Everyone around freezes in shock. Celia and several others feel relieved that Alba stepped in. Elena, remembering the kind words from their childhood, feels something stir strongly in her chest. Walbi turns red with anger and demands to know how Alba dares insult House Walgut. He shouts that he won't forgive such an offense and suddenly flings a handkerchief into the air. Alba catches it without thinking and asks what that was supposed to mean. The crowd immediately bursts into alarm, shouting that catching it means Alba has accepted a duel. Alba is completely stunned. Kriana Academy has strict rules that forbid lethal fighting, but students are allowed to challenge others to duels if it's to defend their pride and honor. To start a duel, someone must throw a special handkerchief at their opponent, and if the other person catches it, it counts as agreement. These battles can only be held on the Academy's official dueling grounds and must have a referee watching. The referee turns out to be a black cat, who introduces itself as Kate Sith and formally announces the duel between Walbi and Alba. The crowd bursts into excitement, some cheer for Alba, some for Walbi, and some are just thrilled to see a talking black cat acting as referee. In the middle of the crowd, Celia looks shocked that Alba actually accepted the duel. Standing beside her, Elena says that running away from a duel is a shame worse than death, and tells Alba to brace himself. But Alba is still frozen, realizing he accepted the duel by accident without even knowing the rules. Walbi smirks and calls him a hillbilly, telling him to give up now while he still can. Before Alba can say anything, Kate Sith explains that both duelists must declare what they're fighting for, their pride and dignity. Alba remembers that in the game, the duel system was just a side feature with no connection to the main story. That means it never had anything to do with his death flags, which gives him a tiny bit of relief. Walbi goes first. He says that if Alba loses, he has to stay out of Elena's life, and Walbi will also take the saintess for himself. That makes Alba furious. Since this has nothing to do with his death fate, he declares that if he wins, Walbi must stay away from both of them. Walbi agrees without hesitation, full of confidence. With their declarations made, Kate Sith officially starts the duel. The audience roars with excitement. Celia turns to Elena and asks if Walbi is really that strong. Elena explains that Walbi is a fire mage and is considered the strongest in their year when it comes to destructive power. Walbi begins chanting, and flames swirl in his hand. Seeing this, Alba wonders if he's seriously opening with a spell right away. From the massive amount of magic gathering, Kate Sith realizes Walbi is casting a high-level incantation. With a shout of the spell's name Purgatory Flame, Walbi launches a gigantic fireball straight at Alba. The attack explodes with such force that the spectators gasp in shock. Celia gasps in fear and cries out Alba's name. Smoke fills the dueling ground, hiding everything from view. Walbi starts laughing loudly, certain that Alba has been burned to nothing. He then turns to the referee and asks if killing someone in a duel is a crime. Kate Sith answers that it isn't, but reminds him that as the referee, it's supposed to prevent that from happening. Walbi frowns in confusion, and the cat explains there's no need to step in yet. At that exact moment, Alba suddenly appears right behind Walbi. In a calm voice, he says the flames were impressive, but then points out that Walbi leaves himself completely open while chanting. Walbi whirls around, too shocked to form a proper sentence, and demands to know how Alba got behind him. Even the cat referee is amazed by Alba's speed. People who have seen Alba fight before recognize the technique as his instant movement, and they begin whispering about how he can do something like that. Elena remembers their first encounter at the academy, how he dodged her attack in an instant and even caught her sword. She starts to think his movements feel almost inhuman, but before she can finish that thought, another voice fills in the missing word, lightning. A girl explains that Alba doesn't just create lightning, he turns his body into the phenomenon itself. She goes on to say that magic is about bringing natural forces into existence, and Alba seems to become that force instead. Students nearby stare at the girl, whispering among themselves. They think she's cute but wonder who she is. Ignoring the attention, she keeps thinking out loud, saying that might be the reason Alba can use magic without chanting, though even then, she says it still feels almost impossible to believe. Because this kind of magic is so risky and hard to control, the girl doubts many people here can even understand it. After recalling his name from the duel announcement, she states that the power Alba wields belongs to the same realm as her master the sage. And because of that, she declares she will not lose to him. This girl is Lily, one of the heroines of Kriana fantasy and the sage's disciple. Back in the duel, right after Alba appeared behind him, Walbi jumps back and shouts that he won't let Alba escape again. He begins chanting another spell. His incantation is long and slow, and Alba sighs, telling him to stop. Once again, he warns that chanting leaves him wide open to attack. Walbi ignores him, so Alba transforms into lightning once more and strikes before the spell can finish. In a blink, Walbi is blasted backward and thrown out of the dueling ring, slamming into the ground. Alba wonders if he might have used too much force, but since Walbi is now outside the ring, the cat referee declares Alba the winner. The students explode into cheers. A few cat nurses rush over to check on Walbi and report that he's unconscious but not injured. In the audience, two students have been watching the fight very carefully: Eurus, the main protagonist, and Alice, his childhood friend and another heroine. They're both shocked that Alba used magic without chanting, something they believe to be impossible. Alice says she's glad they saw the duel, then asks Eurus what he thinks. Eurus explains that while it looked like Alba defeated Walbi with one hit, he actually didn't land a blow at all. Instead, he just thrust his arm forward at such unbelievable speed that the force alone created a shockwave strong enough to launch Walbi. Alice is even more amazed after hearing that, and Eurus confirms it's true. Alice points out that Alba isn't the only shocking one. While she and the other students could only see a blur and a flash of blue lightning, Eurus was able to follow and explain Alba's movement clearly. Curious, she asks him who would win if he and Alba ever fought. Eurus is caught off guard by the question, but Alice explains her reasoning. If he could track Alba's speed, maybe he could counter it. She guesses that even so, he would still lose, and asks him to confirm. Eurus quietly agrees and adds that there's no reason for them to fight in the first place. But after a short silence, he admits something else. If Alba ever caused sorrow to someone precious to him, he wouldn't allow himself to lose. Once the duel ends, Alba returns to Celia and Elena. Celia happily praises how strong he is. Elena, still amazed, asks when he became that powerful. Alba replies that he trained while living alone deep in the mountains. The truth is, it wasn't only training that made him this strong. The original Alba already had incredible talent, something no one else in this world understands but him. In the game, Alba was a powerful character who could even become the final boss. And if someone like that trains seriously, he could grow strong enough to face even the protagonist and not fall behind. With that kind of potential, Alba feels reassured that his own strength isn't just luck, it's real. Elena comments that for someone who used to hate hard work, he now trains seriously and seems like a completely different person. Alba reminds her that he has been reborn into a new self. Celia then asks if the old Alba was truly that awful. Elena answers without hesitation and says he was the worst of the worst. Alba feels a bit awkward hearing that, but Celia shakes her head and says that no matter what anyone says, to her, Alba is the best. Celia wraps her arms around him, and Alba gently reminds her again that she needs to call him Al while they're inside the academy. After that, he quietly wonders if he might have gone overboard during the duel. Celia shakes her head and tells him he didn't do anything wrong. In her eyes, anyone who bothers Elena deserves to be sent flying. She adds that if he ever gets hurt, she'll just heal him, no matter what. Alba smiles a little and calls her a dependable saintess. Watching the two of them interact, Elena feels a strange warmth rise in her chest. She thanks Alba for fighting on her behalf. He replies that he only did what he promised. He said he would protect her. Elena blushes and nods, accepting his words. To Alba, everything seems fine now. The duel had nothing to do with his death flags, so he assumes there's no danger. But fate keeps moving on its own, and without him even realizing it, all the important people tied to his destiny are slowly being pulled into place. A few days later, morning sunlight fills their house in the royal capital. Alba is still fast asleep, completely lost in his dreams, when Celia decides it's time to wake him up. Instead of calling his name, she climbs onto him without warning. Alba groans, muttering good morning and complaining that he can't breathe. Celia simply tells him that this was the only way, otherwise he would never have woken up at all. After finally getting out of bed and washing up, Alba sits down at the table. The moment he sees the meal Celia prepared, he tells her honestly that her cooking has become much better. Celia smiles proudly and says that living in the mountains helped her practice every single day. Alba then suggests that he should cook dinner tonight, and Celia quickly says she wants the nikujaga he always makes. When they finish eating, they get ready to head to the academy. Celia hands Alba his lunch and reminds him not to forget it. As he takes the lunchbox, Alba pauses. For some reason, it feels strangely familiar, almost the same as the bento he used to have in his past life. Celia notices his expression and asks what's wrong, but Alba shakes his head and says it's nothing. She then tells him they should hurry, or they'll be late. On the way to the academy, Celia happily talks about how much she enjoys her classes. She asks Alba what he thinks, and he answers honestly that the lessons are really hard for him. Along the road, they meet a few friends, including Elena. Alba greets everyone with a simple good morning as they continue walking together. Later that day in class, Alba lazily spins his pencil between his fingers while staring ahead. As he listens half-heartedly, he realizes how calm his academy life has been so far. Ever since the duel on the very first day, nothing dangerous or anything close to a death flag has happened at all. When the teacher suddenly asks for someone to answer a question, Celia softly nudges Alba and tells him to focus. Before he can react, Elena confidently answers, earning praise from the teacher. Alba watches quietly as the lesson continues. Once class is over, Alba walks through the hallway by himself. None of the other students come near him. Seeing this, he figures he probably scared everyone too badly during the duel. The fear he caused made them keep their distance. In a strange way, that works in his favor. Staying alone helps him avoid situations that could lead to death flags. Still, even though he knows this is safer, he can't help feeling a little lonely. During lunch break, Elena goes to find Celia and asks where Alba is. Celia sighs and says Alba is unbelievable. He finished his entire bento before lunch even officially started. Right after that, he said he was going to sleep and walked off. And sure enough, Alba is now stretched out under a tree, fast asleep. Hearing this, Elena shakes her head and wonders if he's really changed at all, since he still acts like the same old troublemaker. But the real reason Alba avoids eating lunch with them is simple. In the game, sharing lunch with the heroines increases their affection. Even though he feels bad about leaving Celia behind, he knows he has no choice. If it helps him stay away from death flags, then avoiding them is something he must do. As Alba starts drifting off under the tree, a sudden voice pulls him back to reality. A girl is standing there, nervously asking if she can eat lunch with him. The question catches him completely off guard. When he looks up, he realizes she's the same girl he saved from the runaway horse. She thanks him again, but even though he recognizes her face, her name just won't come to mind. Noticing his confusion, the girl smiles and tells him her name is Mina. She says she was shocked to learn, after watching the duel, that he's a first-year student at the same academy as her. Alba replies honestly that he's just as surprised to find out she studies here too. Then Mina slowly holds out her lunchbox toward him. With a shy voice, she explains that she wanted to thank him properly, so she made this bento just for him and asks him to accept it. Alba freezes. The situation feels way too familiar, almost exactly like one of the lunch events from the game. But no matter how hard he thinks, he can't remember any heroine named Mina. That can only mean one thing: she's just a side character. When he doesn't respond right away, Mina assumes she's been rejected. She quickly apologizes for bothering him and starts to pull the lunchbox back. Before she can leave, Alba hurriedly takes the bento from her hands and thanks her, saying he's happy to accept it. Mina's face instantly brightens with joy. Since she isn't a main character tied to any death flags, Alba feels there shouldn't be any danger in eating her food. They sit together under the tree, and as Alba takes his first bite, he's surprised by how good it tastes. He honestly tells her that it's delicious. Hearing that, Mina's eyes light up, and she asks if he really means it, clearly overjoyed by his praise. However, the girl keeps calling him Sir Al, which makes Alba uncomfortable. He tells her she doesn't need to use Sir since they're both students at the same academy. Hearing that, she nods and starts calling him Al instead. Alba then gently warns her that it might not be a good idea to stay too close to him. Confused, she asks why. He explains that people already avoid him, and if she spends time with someone like him, others might start ignoring her too. He thinks that would only cause her trouble. Mina listens carefully, then shakes her head. She tells him that it's her choice, and she doesn't care what other people think or say about her. Seeing her serious eyes and firm voice, Alba is surprised. He starts to think she must be a strong-willed character, even if she's not important in the game. Mina then smiles and adds that being close to him has benefits too. When Alba looks confused, she explains with a laugh that if she stays friendly with him, maybe he'll save her again someday. That makes both of them laugh, and Alba replies that of course he would do everything he can to help her. Just then, a sudden voice asks if they're having fun together. Alba jumps in surprise. It's Celia. She's smiling, but the smile clearly looks forced as she points out that Alba wouldn't eat lunch with her. Yet here he is sitting with another girl. Alba immediately stands up and hurriedly explains that it's all a misunderstanding and that he isn't flirting with Mina at all. Mina also stands up, then suddenly says she's going back to class. Alba is confused by her sudden decision. As she walks away, Mina politely greets Celia and apologizes before leaving. Her quick exit leaves both Alba and Celia standing there, unsure of what just happened. It seems Mina had another reason for leaving so suddenly. She realized that the girl standing there was the saintess. Putting that aside, Alba explains to Celia that the girl was Mina, a classmate he once helped. Celia's eyes widen as she asks if Mina is the same girl he saved from the runaway horse. Alba nods and adds that she's from the Lupica barony, and that even Elena knows her. Celia then says that since Mina is also their classmate, she might take part in the next school event. Hearing this, Alba freezes. All at once, his memory snaps back that event. The first big event from Kriana Fantasy is about to begin. It's the youth field trip, an activity suggested by the headmaster himself. During this event, students are sent into the Neep forest to collect medicinal herbs while fighting magic beasts. It's meant to help beginners learn how battles work, so only weak monsters are supposed to appear. Because of that, the trip is considered fairly safe. Still, it's an important moment in the game. Depending on the player's choices, this event can greatly increase closeness with one of the heroines. For Alba, however, it's dangerous because this same event can lead straight to a hidden death flag he's been trying so hard to avoid. Later that day, the students arrive at the Neep forest for the field trip. Looking around at the dark trees, Celia asks nervously if fighting magic beasts might be scary. Alba smiles and tells her not to worry, explaining that everyone is together and only weak monsters will show up. Elena joins in too, confidently telling Celia she'll be fine since Elena is right there with her sword ready. Just then, a teacher steps forward and tells everyone to follow him. He confidently assures the students that there's no need to worry, proudly saying he's not the kind of teacher who would ever lose to a magic beast. While the students feel reassured by his words, Alba quietly thinks otherwise. Having seen this event before, he knows that this confidence won't last long. Very soon, that proud smile is going to disappear. From what Alba remembers, this event has 4 possible paths. One choice is to stay with Celia and help heal injured students. Another is to fight the magic beast alongside Elena. There's also a path where Alice, the protagonist's childhood friend, gets separated and needs rescuing. The final option involves Lily, though Alba can't clearly recall what happens in her route. No matter which path is chosen, one thing is certain: the protagonist will appear somewhere. Because of that, Alba must be extremely careful. If he chooses the same route as the protagonist, it could easily lead to a death flag. Avoiding that is his top priority. As the field trip officially begins, Celia walks through the forest with her friends, looking around in curiosity. Nearby, Elena confidently defeats several magic beasts, drawing looks of amazement from the other students. Not far away, Eurus and Alice are chatting calmly, while Lily sits quietly, reading her book as if nothing concerns her. Meanwhile, the teacher warns a group of students to stay alert and not act recklessly. They are approaching the area where magic beasts live. Suddenly, the teacher feels a faint tremble under his feet. A strange presence fills the air. As the shaking grows stronger and closer, he slowly realizes what is coming. But by the time the teacher realizes the truth, it's already too late. When the monsters rush dangerously close, he finally understands it's a stampede. Fear spreads through the group as students begin to panic. Trying to stay calm, the teacher shouts for everyone to retreat at once. Celia, who is close to the teacher, sees the charging beasts and freezes in shock. Elena quickly raises her voice, telling everyone not to panic. At the same time, Lily feels a strange and unsettling presence nearby. In the chaos, Alice gets separated from Eurus, who immediately draws his sword when he sees students running in terror. Watching all this, Alba knows his fear is now confirmed. This is the great demonic beast stampede, the exact disaster he remembered. The teacher orders all students to escape the forest while he stays behind to draw the monsters' attention. As the beasts rush closer, Celia's friends beg her to run, and she nods and goes with them. Elena, on the other hand, steps forward and tells the students to stay behind her, ready to protect them. Just as he promised, the teacher fights bravely, holding back the monsters so the students can get away. Meanwhile, Alba stays strangely calm. He knows that whatever choice he makes now will change his relationship with the heroines, and the closer he gets to any of them, the closer he moves toward his death flag of fate he must avoid no matter what. With that in mind, Alba makes his decision. Just like the original villain in the game, he chooses to abandon everything and run away. For the moment, Celia and her friends manage to reach a safer area. But suddenly, danger strikes again. One of the students is attacked by a massive bear-like monster that lunges out without warning. When Celia sees the monster attack, she screams in terror. Her cry pulls the beast's attention toward her. As it rushes straight at her, she squeezes her eyes shut and cries out Alba's name, desperately wondering where he has gone. In the very next instant, a bright flash cuts through the air. Like a bolt of lightning, Alba appears and delivers a powerful kick, sending the bear-like monster flying away from her. Celia opens her eyes and, seeing Alba standing there, lets out a breath of relief as she calls his name. After making sure the monster is defeated, Alba urgently tells Celia to escape the forest right away. She thanks him for saving her, but then shakes her head and refuses to leave. Kneeling beside her injured friend, she uses her healing magic to close their wounds. With a trembling voice, she admits she's scared, but says she still wants to help everyone. She looks at Alba with trust in her eyes and tells him she believes he can protect them all. Hearing her words, Alba makes his choice. In that moment, thoughts of logic and death flags disappear from his mind. He realizes that running away to save only himself would be nothing but cowardly. He accepts Celia's request, telling her to leave everything to him. She nods and tells him to be careful. Elsewhere, Elena is locked in battle with a giant mantis-like monster. With swift movements, she defeats it without trouble. Turning to the others, she tells them to run, but before she can react, two more monsters appear behind her. Just as they move to attack, blue lightning crashes down. Alba strikes both beasts in an instant, reducing them to dust. He turns to Elena and asks if she's hurt. She looks surprised to see him, then scoffs and says she's perfectly fine, telling him not to underestimate her. Alba smiles and replies that he knows exactly how strong she is. Hearing that makes Elena smile as well. Still, Alba warns her not to get careless, reminding her that confidence can turn dangerous. Elena nods in agreement, tightening her grip on her sword. Alba tells Elena that he's going to head deeper into the forest and asks her to protect this area. Elena nods and reminds him to be careful too. With that, Alba turns and rushes forward, moving farther into the forest while striking down every monster that stands in his way. From what he remembers of the game, this field trip event is supposed to end once the boss in the deepest part of the forest is defeated. But something about this feels very wrong. This event is meant for beginners, which means only weak monsters should appear. Yet the creatures he's facing are far stronger monsters that shouldn't show up until the middle of the game. Alba realizes what's happening. Because he's been acting differently than the original story, the world itself is starting to change. The scenario is no longer following the game's rules. When he finally reaches the heart of the forest, his fears are confirmed. Waiting for him is the final boss, and it's nothing like he remembers. Standing before him is a massive three-headed demonic beast, a chimera. Alba clearly remembers how hard this monster was to defeat in the game. This is far beyond anything a tutorial boss should be. Suddenly, a scream echoes through the trees. Alba freezes. Turning toward the sound, he sees a student trapped in the chimera's snake-like tail. His shock deepens when he recognizes her face. It's Alice, one of the heroines. Panicking, she introduces herself and begs for help, explaining that she got lost and was caught by the monster. Alba knows the truth. Alice is tied directly to one of his death flags. Helping her could bring disaster. But even knowing that, he can't bring himself to leave her behind. Clenching his fists, Alba makes his decision. In a flash, he launches himself forward and attacks the chimera without hesitation. To Alba's shock, his attack does nothing at all. The chimera roars and fires a blast of flames in return, forcing Alba to dodge just in time. As he regains his balance, Alice shouts that the monster's body is changing, which only confuses him more. She quickly explains that the chimera switches between two states. In one state, magic attacks barely work, but physical hits are effective. In the other, it's the opposite. Right now, because Alba is using lightning magic, the chimera has entered the phase where magic is almost useless. Hearing this, everything finally makes sense to Alba. He remembers now this is exactly why this boss was so hard to defeat in the game. It was never meant to be beaten alone. The player had to fight together with allies to win. Thinking fast, Alba changes his plan. He uses magic only to move closer, then throws a powerful punch with his bare hands. This time, his attack actually lands. But instead of falling, the chimera laughs and speaks, saying that a punch like that means nothing, and that Alba will never defeat it. The monster strikes back, but Alba narrowly avoids the attack and jumps away. Fighting without a weapon feels hopeless, yet he has no choice. He didn't bring one with him. Suddenly, Alice shouts at him, calling his effort weak and telling him to try harder. Alba snaps back, annoyed, saying she shouldn't talk while being captured. That comment enrages the chimera. Its snake-like body tightens around Alice, squeezing her as she cries out in pain. Just before the creature can crush her, something flashes through the air. In a single moment, the serpent's body is cut apart, freeing Alice completely. Alba stares in disbelief. Standing there, sword in hand, is none other than Eurus. Alice says she always believed Eurus would come to save her, and Eurus answers without hesitation that of course he would. Hearing this, the chimera turns its attention away from Alba and focuses on Eurus instead. Eurus gently places Alice under a nearby tree and tells her to rest while he takes care of the monster. With a sharp glare, Eurus charges forward. He asks the chimera if it's angry, then says he feels the same way because it dared to hurt someone important to him. Watching the fight, Alba is amazed by how fast and clean Eurus's sword movements are. As expected from the protagonist, his skills are incredible. But something feels off. Eurus's attacks don't seem to hurt the chimera much at all. Alice quickly explains why. The monster can change what it's weak against. Earlier, it could be damaged by physical attacks, but now it seems immune to them. That means its weakness has switched to magic. The moment Alba understands this, he jumps back into the fight. He rushes forward and delivers a lightning-charged kick. This time, the blow works, smashing one of the chimera's heads and dealing serious damage. Even though Eurus is the one person Alba wants to avoid the most, he knows this battle won't end unless they work together. He shouts that he'll back Eurus up so they can finish this fast. Nearby, Alice watches with excitement, her eyes shining. Eurus asks Alba if he has a plan. Alba answers honestly that there isn't one, there's only one thing they can do. Eurus nods in agreement, and both of them charge at the chimera side by side. Alba strikes first with another lightning kick, but the chimera has already changed again, making the attack useless. That mistake creates an opening, and Eurus takes it, landing a powerful hit with his sword. Seeing this, Eurus suggests they keep switching attacks to match the monster's weakness. Alba agrees, ready to continue the fight together. From a distance, Alice watches the battle and realizes something important. The chimera picked the worst enemies possible. Whenever it tried to block Alba's lightning magic, it left itself open to Eurus's fast sword strikes, and whenever it focused on stopping Eurus's blade, Alba's magic hit it hard instead. Because of this perfect teamwork, the two of them fight like an unstoppable pair, the strongest duo among the first-year students. Eurus feels chills watching Alba's powerful lightning magic, while Alba is just as amazed by the speed and sharpness of Eurus's sword skills. Fighting side by side, they quickly overpower the chimera and bring it crashing down. Once the battle is over, Eurus turns to Alba and thanks him sincerely, saying he's grateful they were able to save Alice together. Alice also thanks Alba, but he waves it off, saying it's no big deal. Changing the subject, Eurus suddenly asks how Alba knew both of their names, since they only learned his name during the duel. Caught by surprise, Alba quickly makes an excuse, saying he keeps track of strong students around his age. Alice laughs and calls that childish, but admits it makes sense since Eurus is famous for being the strongest student from their village. Even though Alba already knows the answer, he asks if Eurus and Alice grew up together since they come from the same place. Eurus nods and says they've been together since childhood, which is why he felt so relieved when she was safe. Hearing that, Alice looks at him and asks if he was really that worried about her. Eurus answers honestly, saying she's like a little sister to him. Alice's smile fades just a bit as she repeats the words "little sister" under her breath, clearly unhappy. Then, without warning, she punches Eurus and declares loudly that she can be the older sister too. Watching the scene, Alba realizes that Eurus already has his hands full dealing with Alice. Eurus then suggests they should return to the others together, but Alba shakes his head. Since Eurus and Alice belong to the Holy Wolf group, and he is part of the Holy Horse group, he decides it's better to head back on his own. Eurus still suggests they at least walk part of the way together. Alice agrees, telling Alba not to act so distant since they're friends now. Alba refuses again, saying he doesn't like being dragged along. What he doesn't say is the real reason being close to them feels like walking beside living death flags. Seeing how firm Alba is, Eurus doesn't argue anymore and accepts his choice. Before they split up, Eurus smiles and tells Alba that he'll never forget what he did for them today. Hearing that, Alba looks away. Inside his heart, he tells Eurus not to smile at him like that. Their fates are meant to cross as enemies someday, destined to stand on opposite sides. It would honestly be easier if Eurus hated him from the beginning. After they part ways, Alba suddenly stops. He turns toward a nearby tree and calmly asks who's there. He says he knows someone has been watching everything from the shadows. Since he can't see them, he wonders aloud if they're using invisibility magic, but there's no reply. Alba clicks his tongue and says hiding is pointless. When he shifts into his lightning state, he can sense any presence nearby. He tells the hidden watcher to come out already, asking whether they're an enemy or not. At that moment, a surprised voice finally responds. The person admits she's shocked that Alba was able to see through her invisible camouflage so easily. When the invisibility spell fades away, the hidden figure finally appears, and it turns out to be Lily. Alba is caught completely off guard, thinking he's a stranger to her. Lily calmly introduces herself. Alba then asks how she even knows his name. Lily explains that after his flashy duel, there isn't a single first-year student who doesn't know who he is. Hearing that makes Alba groan inside. He regrets ever fighting Walbi and silently blames him for dragging so much attention onto himself. Pushing that thought aside, Alba asks Lily why she was hiding in the first place. She answers that by the time she arrived, everyone was already fighting, so she chose to watch quietly instead. Lily then adds that the kind of power Alba used is something she has only heard about in stories from her master. Alba assumes she means lightning magic and asks her about it, but Lily shakes her head and tells him to look at the chimera instead. At that moment, the chimera's body begins to fade. Alba watches in shock as it slowly turns into smoke and disappears completely. Seeing his confusion, Alice explains that the chimera vanished because its magical energy ran out. It wasn't a real creature, it was something pulled from another dimension, more like a copied illusion than a living beast. Her explanation completely flies over Alba's head, and his blank stare makes that obvious. So Alice tries again, saying it has to do with a magical theory called interdimensional phenomenon creation. Even after that, Alba still doesn't understand. Sighing, she repeats the name once more. Then she breaks it down simply. Creating fire normally means using tools to make heat through friction. That's a natural rule of the world. But magic breaks those rules. It creates fire from nothing at all. That's why magic is so different and so dangerous. In the same way, someone used powerful magic to create a copy of a phenomenon, the chimera, and pulled it from another world into this one. Hearing this, Alba asks if the monster disappeared because it was never a real chimera to begin with, but something made by magic. Lily nods and confirms his guess. She explains that this is a very rare and advanced type of magic, one that normal people can't use at all. Realizing this, Alba starts to think about who could be behind it. Before he can finish the thought, Lily says that the people using this magic are clearly aiming at the students. Far away from the forest, the mages who created the chimera are quietly watching everything unfold. One of them speaks in surprise, saying she never expected a first-year student to defeat a chimera, and remarks that Kriana Academy is more impressive than she thought. The other mage calmly replies that this is only natural, since Kriana Academy stands as one of the 3 great powers of the world, alongside the royal family and the church. Putting that aside, the mage tells her partner, whom she calls Yoru, that she has run out of mana and can no longer use magic. Hearing this, they decide it's time to leave. Yoru respectfully asks if there will be another chance. The woman replies that Yoru should handle it on her own next time. Yoru answers that her abilities aren't suited for fighting groups. With that, both mages vanish in a flash. Back in the forest, Alba stands silently, lost in thought. In the game, this field trip was supposed to be nothing more than a simple tutorial. But now, there's no doubt the story is changing fast. As unease settles in his chest, Alba wonders if the mages creating these magical beasts are somehow connected to his death flag. Alba makes up his mind. If those mages turn out to be his enemies, he won't show them any mercy. Lily then reports that since the chimera has completely vanished, the enemy is likely no longer in the forest. Hearing this, Alba decides it's time to return to the others and tells Lily to head back as well. Just as Alba starts to leave, Lily calls out to him and asks who taught him magic. Without hesitation, he answers that he learned it on his own. Lily freezes in surprise. Realizing he's self-taught, she softly mutters something in a strange language, then smiles and says she finds him very interesting. She adds that she's become curious about him before quietly walking away. Left behind, Alba stands there stunned. He suddenly remembers that during this event in the game, players could also raise their bond with Lily. That thought makes his head ache. Elsewhere, Celia is busy healing injured students, while Elena continues cutting down the remaining monsters. One by one, the beasts vanish into nothing. Watching this, Alice realizes that someone must have caused the monsters to disappear. Nearby, Lily lets out a quiet giggle. Alba, on the other hand, feels deeply annoyed. Without meaning to, he's now raised his death flags with every single heroine. Even so, when he finally rejoins Celia and Elena, relief washes over him when he sees that everyone is safe. Back at the academy, the Black Cat gives a report to the headmaster, explaining that there were no deaths. The headmaster thanks the cat and calls it Tamakuro. Tamakuro begins to explain what it believes the enemy's true goal might be, but before it can finish, the headmaster cuts in, guessing it could be related to the first-year students or perhaps something else entirely. What troubles him the most is that the enemy's identity is still unknown. Though he doesn't know who they are or where they came from, he makes one thing clear: they must never underestimate Kriana Academy.